2 years ago, I made a few cards where I used a white gel pen and I drew very simple Christmas images. Last year, I did the same and I drew a wreath. So to keep up with the theme, I have another Christmas card idea for you. This is the third one in this year's series. I made 3 cards drawing fir tree branches. All you need to make these cards are a pen and a blank card. I'm using a white gel pen. Here I have 3 of the jelly roll pens, but in the end I used the size 10. And I'm using a blank card made out of a Kraft cardstock. However, feel free to use different colors of the blank cards. For Christmas, red, green, blue, or even black would work perfectly. And if all you have or can get is white cards, you can just use a black pen. So let me show you first how to draw the fir tree branch. Fir tree or pine tree branches are one of the simplest things you can draw. You start with a line and then with short strokes, you draw shorter lines. You draw them on each side along the main line, as well as on the top. You can draw as many as you want. It really depends on the look you are going for, as well as on the type of pen you are using. You could draw line by line, leaving bigger spaces between them, going from top to bottom of the line. That would probably look great with a thicker pen. Just try it on a scrap paper and see what looks best. So let me show you the first card idea I have for you. I started with the greeting. This is just in case I end up with no space for it or the branches are in the way. So to write the greeting, first I measured and marked the middle of the card, and I also drew a line with a pencil to make sure the greeting is straight. I have troubles writing straight on a blank paper. The measuring is up to you. I just wanted to have the greeting in the center. Using the pencil, I also wrote the greeting itself. I decided to use a Swedish greeting for Merry Christmas, and that is God Jul, but you use greeting that you prefer. Writing it with a pencil first is great because you can erase, rewrite, and adjust it the way you want. The only issue was, because I was going to use the white gel pen, I probably was not going to be able to erase the pencil lines afterwards. I didn't test it, but I think it does smudge the ink. What I did here instead, I erased the pencil lines so they are barely visible. And then I used the gel pen to write the greeting. This way, you did not see the pencil lines and no erasing was needed. I also had a paper towel at hand because these pens tend to get clogged up. Using something like a paper towel or a cloth to clean up the top really helps. The next step is to start with the fir tree branches. The idea for this card is to draw the branches along the edges of the card, pretty much creating a frame. I started on the left side and I first drew one branch at the bottom corner and then one at the top corner. This made the placement of the inner branches much easier. Once I was done with the 2 corner branches, I filled the space in between them. Next, I drew the branches on the right side, repeating the process. First, I drew the branches at the top and bottom corners, and then in the middle. After I was done with the branches at the left and right side, I drew the branches at the top and the bottom. By the way, I do have a corresponding blog post for each of my long form videos, some also for YouTube Shorts, but mainly for these kind of videos. So if you would like to see still photos of the cards, just hop over to my blog. The link is always in the description below. You can leave it as it is, but I thought adding a border around the edge of the card base would kinda bring it all together. So I drew a line or multiple lines because I wanted to make it thicker, and I drew it along the edges of the card base. Here you can see the finished card in more close-up. It's very simple and very quick to make. Let's move on to the second card. Here I drew a bunch of branches, 2 main branches and a few little ones attached to the main branches. And I wanted them to come from the left side of the card, leaving the bottom empty for the greeting. So I started with a long curved line, starting in the middle in the left corner of the cardstock, going towards the top right corner. And then I added a few curved lines. This is for smaller branches that I will draw along the lines. But you can do this as you go from top to bottom. Here I was drawing smaller fir tree branches, either attached to the main branch or to the smaller branches that I drew before. There was really no logic to it, it was very random. I drew it in a way that made sense to me. I added branches where I thought I need to add branches, really depending on the overall look. At some points I added a few tiny needles, clusters of 3. This is just to fill up certain places where a full branch would be too much, but there was still an empty space that needed filling. So the first big branch is done. I thought I will add another one to fill up the background. Here I didn't do many additional branches, just a few on each side. This one I wanted to keep simple. For the greeting, I used good Yule again. I did that on all of the cards, and I did the same as on the previous card. First I wrote it with a pencil and then with the white gel pen. The reason why I'm using a Swedish greeting, first of all, I live in Sweden, so it's nice to have a few cards with a Swedish Christmas sentiment. But the main reason is because it is short. My writing is rather inconsistent and is all over the place. Writing it first with a pencil is very helpful, but having a shorter greeting is even better. If you are writing an English greeting, Merry and Bright or just the word joy are great options. Here is the card in a close-up, again very quick and simple. So for the third card, I decided to draw a wreath, very similar to the one I made last year, except you don't have to draw any leaves, which makes it much quicker to make. I started with a circle in the middle of the card. The line wasn't perfect, but it's okay because I will be drawing the fir tree branches, so you will not see it at the end. Next, I started drawing the fir tree branches. Each was just a simple small branch. For each, I did one line with the needles on each side. And I drew them along the circle, one on the outside and one on the inside. Just drawing them one by one as I was going along the circle. Some were connected on both sides, but most of them I drew slightly higher or lower than the one on the other side. By the other side, I mean the inner and the outer circle. Each branch was about 2 centimeters long, and I was leaving a tiny space between the branches because I knew I will be adding a few berries between the branches. But this is completely optional, you can make it much fuller. On this card, I was especially being careful not to smudge the ink of the pen. I did it on the other cards, but here I thought it was most likely to happen. But luckily it did not. So be careful as well. So I finished up drawing the fir tree branches along the circle, and next I wrote the greeting. I did the same as on the previous cards. I used the Swedish greeting, but as I said, you can use greeting of your choice, whatever you prefer. When it comes to the Christmas greetings, although this year I used the Swedish sentiments on my cards quite a lot, normally I used English greetings. And since last year, I decided to only use Merry Christmas when it comes to English greetings. This is because I mainly give my cards to non-English speakers, and while Merry Christmas is, I would say, quite international, the other ones not so much. Personally, I do like Merry and Bright or season greetings. They sound very festive to me, but I don't know if any other greeting than Merry Christmas makes any sense to non-English speaker. But what about you? What is your preferred greeting for Christmas cards? Let me know in the comments. The card is technically finished. You can stop here and be done. But I thought it would be fun to add a few berries between the branches. You can use the same pen as you use for the wreath. Here white would be just fine, but I had a red gel pen and I thought adding a little bit of color to the card would be great. And I drew small dots between the branches, some in classes of 3 or 2, and at some places I only added 1. It really depended on how much space I have. Here's the card in a close-up. The red pen has a little bit of glitter in it, So it added a little bit of sparkle to the card, which I really like. So here are all the cards together. All of them I created within 50 minutes. And if I weren't filming, it would probably take me even less time. So if you are looking for quick, last-minute card ideas for Christmas, this is definitely for you. Plus, what is great, they are also budget-friendly. For more Christmas card ideas, check out my videos from previous years. The links will be in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hop over to my blog to see the cards in more close-up, and I will see you in my next video.